Hey guys, welcome to the channel. This is episode 101, and today I am going to do a review on the Kioti tractor. Last episode was my 100th episode, as you remember, those of you that watched, and I asked for ideas. The suggestion that I picked was kind of the annual review on the Kioti tractor, and I appreciate all the comments and suggestions, and some of them were good, and it was a difficult decision to pick, but I have been contemplating an annual review on the Kioti. I've had it just over a year, and so it's time to talk about it. I know there's a lot of annual reviews about the tractor. I'm just going to give you my 2 cents basically. It's a big investment with all the attachments. I think I was 28 grand or whatnot. So I wanted to talk about the things that I like about it, things that I've had issues with or have had to have fixed or fix myself or whatnot, and so on. So let's get started on that. The annual Kioti CK3510SE review. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. All right. So in fairness to those considering buying a tractor, and to be fair with Kioti, this is my first tractor. So the learning curve on this tractor is probably longer for me than some. Stuff I had to figure out, you can't really blame on the tractor. But nonetheless, I'm going to tell you what issues I've had and then also what I think is pretty cool about it. So here we go. So as I mentioned before, this is the CK3510SE. It's got the hydrostatic. It's kind of their bells and whistles model for this size. It's got all kinds of goodies on it. And I'm sure if you're researching that, you'll know what those are. And I won't need to go over every thing. I should tell you that I'm just under 300 hours on it. I have about 286 hours, excuse me. So I've got a pretty good amount of time on it. My neighbor's got a Kubota, and I don't even think he's got 75 hours on it. So, and he's had it longer than I've had the Kioti. And so I do use it a lot. Let's talk about the things that have either gone wrong or that I've experienced. The first issue that I had was this bolt right here worked its way out, and I just happened to be at the dealership when that happened and picked up another bolt and put it in, and put some Loctite on it. I do check the bolts when I do my greasing, and there's a lot of grease fittings on here obviously, but I do check the bolts for tightness, and they have a torque rating and whatnot in the manual, but that bolt has worked its way loose I think a couple times, and it's kind of, there's a lot of torque and interaction that goes on with regard to the bucket, and so that's understandable, but that is something that's happened. I found a couple of the bolts that were a little that did tighten up, but when I checked them, but they weren't loose like that one had worked its way loose. All right, so another issue that I've had with the tractor is, you can see, hopefully you can see these hydraulic fittings back here, plug-ins. This one on this side, I have 2 on this side, 2 on the other side. And the ones on this side, I guess, were added because of this particular model has 4 in the back. In any case, one of them started leaking at one of the seals. And I took it into Kioti. Actually, I contacted them. I took it in and they fixed it right away. Same week, no questions asked, and it's back on the road. No problem. Now, in conjunction with that repair, when I brought it in, they had to take this fender off, the right fender, and the seat, and some other items, to get to that seal to replace it. When I got it home and was using the tractor after the repair, I turned it off at one point and it stopped working. It's a long story, but ultimately what we discovered through conversation, I did end up fixing it myself, is that the 3-point lever is wired in through this fender, and one of the connections was loose and it would not start with that loose connection. So after I got that plugged back in real tight and whatnot, then it was fine. It started right up, no issues there, but that resulted from the repair. You know, that type of stuff happens. So they fixed it, or actually I fixed that part and got it back on the road. Next issue that I've had is, and I've seen some other channels regarding the Kioti, and they've had the same issue. So I haven't talked to the dealership about this, probably won't, but you can see where the gas tank is. It's an okay place, I think. It's up high, easy to flip a 5-gallon bucket, or excuse me, a tank into. Unfortunately, it has a catch net, or debris net, or whatever you want to call it, inside of this, inside the tank. This one had one, thus the issue. Does not anymore, except to say that it's in the bottom of the tank now, and I can still see it. Fishing it out, I've heard, is a near possibility. I don't think it's interfering with anything. Was my own fault. I let the 5-gallon can slip, and it just hit it hard enough and knocked that piece of plastic down into the tank. So that was another issue. Not super fond of that design. Seems like would probably be a better way to do that. I don't know. Like I said, it's my first experience, so there's that. Okay, I've done a couple of videos now on the backhoe and installing the backhoe and the use of these brackets down here for the backhoe frame. I'm currently parked on it, and putting the backhoe on, and I got a hitch on right now, so obviously I don't normally have that on, but and sliding it into that plate there with that cross member there to get the backhoe in place and functioning and whatnot. It's a challenge. I think I've gotten better at it. I've learned a few tricks about it. One of the tricks that I've learned is to get the tractor lined up the best you can. I've done a couple of videos on it, if I didn't say that already. But to get the tractors lined up the best you can when you go to put it on, I think you set yourself up for success when you do that. But it's a challenge. You can see my marks on the pavement there, where I need to put my rear wheel, my front wheel, so that I am set up for success in getting it done. This particular tractor, I think most of the Kiotis, although I can't speak to that, have the 3-pedal system, the forward, reverse, and brake. Like I said, I don't have anything to compare it to, but it's super easy to use. It's very fast when I'm working and going back and forth, maneuvering around. Setting the brakes, very easy. I can tell you that the seat is super comfortable. It's probably as good as any car seat. Any decent car, it's obviously adjustable. The controls as far as steering, fuel, or adding, using the accelerator or whatnot, and are all very accessible, very easy to use. Has an armrest. I don't use the armrest a whole lot, just simply because I get in and out constantly when I'm working. One of the features that I really like on it is it has on your PTO, and there's probably an official name for it, on your PTO you can have it connected to there's a 3-point hitch connection, I think it's called, switch on the panel. I think it's under the steering wheel there. And in any case, if you're running your 3-point hitch, or excuse me, running a 3-point attachment, and you lift the attachment, it will shut off your PTO. And that has saved me a couple times when I've been brush hogging and ran over something I didn't see. And your first reaction, other than to stop, is to jerk that PTO, so you're lifting your brush hog or whatever up off of whatever you hit. When you do that, it automatically cuts off the power, and so the brush hog stops spinning. I've had that happen twice where I hit something, yanked up on that lever, and it cut off the PTO. And so that was helpful to me because, you know, thinking of reaching over and flipping this lever to turn it off is just not instinctual, but it's not a reactionary type thing that you would normally do, but it is it is to pull up the lever when you're out there brush hogging. So that has saved me, and I think that's a super cool feature. I also obviously have the accelerator length, so when I'm using my fuel, I can have the link to my pedals, and so as I push it, they're combined. They don't have to function individually, which is nice, and I think I have that on all the time. Let's talk about oil changes. I've done a video on oil changes, but the oil access is not awesome. It's not impossible, obviously, but let's see if I can get this open with one hand. So get the hood up, and there's your oil fill right there. If you get, you know, you can put the front loader up if you want. I don't know if it makes that much easier. Some people suggest taking it off. I think that's a tremendous amount of extra effort to change the oil. Definitely going to add some time to the process. The fuel filter is right above it. It's not too bad to get to. The oil filter is below it, right below down there, and that's super easy. Oil pan down below that, super easy. So it's just filling the oil that's not great. Front axle fills pretty easy. The rear hydraulic, not so much. We'll go back there. And it's another one of those, like, once you find the funnel that works, you kind of set it aside. But there's the rear fill on the rear hydraulic. And this has 2 filters on the hydraulic system. Transmission filter and the hydrostat filter. So there are 2 different filters on the same system. And that's where you put the fluid in. And it's a little bit challenging where it's located because it's under the fuel tank, you know, round about the 3-point hitch and whatnot. So, but not bad, just challenging. The toolbox, I mean, it's super basic, but I mean, I have some things in there and it's enough to keep some of the stuff that I need out there, like when I break shear pins on the chipper. As you may be aware of one of my videos, I talk about this issue here that I had where this brick, which is a hard plastic, melted, and it took a while to figure out what it was. Ultimately, I figured out it was having the loader arms down during a regen, and it got very hot, and the exhaust is right there, and so it was in a perfect position on the downhill slope that I was working on that day to just melt that. So I did have to replace it. Sometimes I've heard the dealer has replaced them, but in any case, That's something you have to be aware of and watch out for. And I want to say they're like 30 bucks, so it wasn't a huge issue. It was just a matter of taking it off and putting it back on. I had to take, of course, this other stuff off. One of the things I wish Kioti sold that I don't think they do, at least I'm not aware, is a grill guard, which ultimately I hope to make because I'm very paranoid about a branch going through the front of the tractor. And that's why if you watch my videos where I'm moving brush, a lot of times I'm standing up just to verify something isn't popping up and going to cause us problems. Trying to think of anything else I could tell you as far as review purposes. Put my gloves in here. I do have the 3-speed, the high, medium, and low. I run typically in the medium, sometimes in the low. I don't think I've used the high. It does have a 12-volt charger back here, which I found kind of late in the game. I didn't realize it was back there. I will say, if you don't know, if you're new to tractors like me, which I didn't know, you don't want to carry a load in medium downhill, especially if it's a good size load, because it'll actually pull the tractor, and you'll have to drop the load down on the ground to keep it to keep from going downhill quickly. Differential lock down here. It's super convenient location. If you start spinning when you're in 4-wheel drive, then you know something's wrong, right? You can push that down with your heel. It'll get all 4 wheels going, get stuff going on until you pull out, and then it just pops back. Goes back to 4-wheel drive. This is the 4-wheel drive catch, and another, fairly convenient non-issue. And I had to learn how to get it in and out of 4-wheel drive, and it's basically just a slow roll forward or back, and then with a little pressure on that lever, and it'll pop out. One of the things I really like about the front loader is that it has the float feature. So if you're using your bucket and you want to smooth something out with your bucket, you can lay it down flat, push it all the way forward to the float position, and it'll just let the bucket float across whatever it is you're working on. Overall, I've been happy with it. Those are the issues I've mentioned that I've had. What is it? Probably 4 or 5. Nothing really serious. And like I said, I'm at about 300 hours. I think another 100 hours, I do another oil change according to the manual. If you have any specific questions about this tractor or this model that I haven't answered, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them for you. This canopy I talked a little bit about in one of my videos, the Rhino canopy. I love it as far as keeping rain off the seat, because in Oregon we have rain intermittent constantly during good parts of the year. And if I didn't use the tractor when it was a little bit drizzly, I'd probably not get a lot done. So it's nice to have that cover. The same with when I'm working out in the heat of the summer, keeping the shade on. It's awesome. So I probably won't talk too much about the backhoe. I've talked about it in several other videos, and I don't think it's really a tractor per se review issue. I think the attachment's around $6,000, depending, on a variety of factors. But for us, with putting the house in and all that we did, I think it was worth it. And if you're just using a backhoe every once in a while, that might be better off to rent one. But anyway, that's the review. I hope that was helpful. Like I said, I didn't go in super in depth with each feature that's on a tractor, because those are pretty self-explanatory on their website and any number of other places. Okay guys, hey, I hope you found that helpful. It was probably a fairly quick video, but those are the things that I've liked about the tractor and things that I have had issues with or don't necessarily like. I think, there's probably a few things they could do better or learn from. and obviously I've learned some things about using it. It does have great lifting capacity on the front, which I think, you know, if you go through and compare to other manufacturers, yeah, they definitely hold their own on lift capacity. And I think their reputation is fairly well. Of course, there are some hardcore John Deere Kubota folks out there, and that's totally fine. I don't have any issues with any other brands or any other tractors. I can only say that one of my primary goals when I was shopping was to have dealer support. Being a new tractor owner, I wanted to be able to do my own maintenance, but at the same time have somebody close and accessible if I had a problem, whether it was for parts or to have them come out. And when I did have that issue with the leak, I brought it in. But when it wouldn't start after they fixed the leak because of that connection thing that I talked about, they said, well, we can come out there this afternoon if you want us to come out, and we'll either walk through it with you or we'll take it and figure out what's going on. But they suspected that it was that connection just because they had just worked on it, and they were right. And so they were able to walk me through taking that apart and getting that fixed. So having dealer support, I think, is pretty important, especially for somebody like me that's fairly new. You want to be able to talk to them, swing in there, get parts, ask questions. The other thing with regard to the backhoe, when I was first, you know, getting used to taking it on and off, you know, I was frustrated, and I talked to them about it, and they said, hey, if you really want to, anytime, come by, we'll show you how we take them on and off so you can watch and learn and figure it out. So I think dealer support's important. They're right close by, so that was one of the factors. The other factor, of course, was cost. You just have to decide, you know, how much you want to get for your money, and I think Kioti delivers quite a bit for their money, or for your money. So anyway, thank you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was helpful. I know there's a lot of reviews out there, but you know, different people have different perspectives, so maybe this is helpful to you. So I will talk to you soon. Take care.